Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Wonder Snatch. Today I have another guest and she's a current reigning winner of Drag Wars Season 2. She's a drama and theatre queen just like me who dabbles in a little bit of activism, and she's also in the Pink Dot Singaporean Queen's music video. Welcome, Femme Fatale!
Hi everyone!
Welcome to my channel. See, I'm wearing a shirt in honor of you. It says Femme.
Oh my god, that's so cute!
Femme Fatale also describes herself as a bisexual drag queen who's attracted in a wholesome, loving relationship, and she is nice to most people. Do you remember when you said that?
No, I don't. But
it was a queer history podcast that you just did.
Oh my god.
Remember that?
Okay. Right, yes.
And I just realized you are our very own killer queen. Femme Fatale is basically killer queen in French, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So today we're going to do a couple of Femme Fatale looks while we just chit-chat.
Yep.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit. Okay, and we're back. I think Femme has something to tell us.
Regarding the introduction, I am no longer bisexual. I thought I was. I do get romantically attracted to girls, but I had my first encounter with like a vagina sexually, and yeah, I realized that is not for me.
Well, I mean, everyone has to figure out their own way. So I think, people go through phases. I mean, bisexuals do not like being called a phase, right? But, everyone has always this transitionary phase. So, it's impossible to avoid that.
Exactly. It's always fun to experiment, so...
Yeah. When I saw you on the House of Miss Joachim collab and you went on about being a drama theatre queen, I was like, oh my god, that's like kindred spirit, and I felt a lot of that energy coming from you, so I thought I really had to get you on my channel to get to know you better.
Okay.
So what's this about being a drama queen? What do you, a theatre queen, drama queen. Why do you identify as a theatre queen?
Well, I've been doing theatre since secondary school. Like, I joined drama club because I was a reject. I wasn't accepted into like the uniform groups because I don't know, I think they just didn't want like a fat kid like running around being in the uniform. So I decided to join drama club. I then grew to like love the stage, and ever since I've just enjoyed performing theatre. Yeah.
What kind of theatre do you usually do? Do you do musical theatre?
No, I've not done musical theatre ever. We mostly do like contemporary pieces or like devised pieces. But I do enjoy watching musicals. Yeah.
I know in a lot of the interviews that you've done, you started drag when you were in the army, right? Can you tell us a bit more about that? About how you started drag and how you came up with the persona of Femme Fatale? Scrolling through your IGTV, your first performance says something about first performance by Lily. Was that your previous life?
Right. Okay. So in NS, I basically like couldn't do theatre because rehearsals required time, and I just didn't have an avenue to perform anymore. So I was introduced to like drag, thought it was interesting, and I decided to just try it out one day, and yeah, it was fun. And then the competition happened. In NS, I was pretty free, so I was like, okay, why not try out the competition? Like just for funsies, and somehow I won.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Thank you.
You also mentioned in some of your other interviews that you felt a little bit disconnected from your fellow contestants. Can you tell me a bit about that? Because I feel the same way, I'm not that much of a club queen, so I don't get to know a lot of the queens in that setting. So that's why I'm trying to, try to get to know all the Singapore queens through this. This is the way I'm the most comfortable. Tell me how you navigated that.
Well, at the start, it was very jarring for me, mostly maybe because I didn't have much queer friends or like extremely gay friends. Like all of them were quite mild. So to be in a scene where it's like bam, full on gay, and everyone's just like sashaying everywhere they go, like moving their hips and like the way they talk, like really loudly and very gay basically. And not that I'm straight acting, but it was just something new for me. Eventually I just got used to it, like their mannerisms, the culture. I didn't know that when you first greet someone, like you have to like hug and kiss them in the drag scene.
Oh,
you know?
even
like,
that much.
yeah, like they were like, hey, then they start hugging me and then mwah, mwah, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And like, yeah, that was me at the start.
Is that something to do with your upbringing? Do you think you were quite conservative being in your upbringing?
No, I don't think I am conservative. It's just if it's a random person, I wouldn't like hug them at first sight, you know. But apparently for queens, that's just how they greet each other. But I think it's mostly because they don't want like their makeup ruined, so they do like that kissing thingy, like, mwah, mwah, like oh okay, it makes
Air
sense.
kiss. And so, what was your first drag name? Lily
Oh
something?
right.
What was that?
So basically, my first drag name was Lily Alias. It's just a feminization of like my own name. Yeah, Ilya
yeah,
Izzudin.
of course, yes.
But then like during the competition, like they basically said like, oh, you know, the name is not exactly marketable. It's not exactly fun. And I was like, okay, sure. So they wanted me to change it. I thought really hard about it. Like, how am I supposed to like market myself and what kind of persona and name? Because you know this thing is pretty long lasting. Yeah. So eventually, I looked through like you know what I like in media, and I realized like most of my inspiration and the type of drag that I want to do is basically I just want to portray a strong woman, and from then Femme Fatale came about. But slowly after the competition, that's where I really like set in stone like the character.
I think I found this video, I've sent it to you about like, you know, the history of the Femme Fatale and everything. I found it very fascinating also, you know, how the drag queen is basically an embodiment of female power, right? And that of female strength that people usually find threatening or people find a bit off-putting sometimes, and we're just trying to exaggerate it to try to show that, you know, this is actually something that actually can be quite beautiful and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really fun thing to portray, especially like on stage, because I don't think there are many queens who have like an actual like character in the scene.
And you have this gimmick, right? Where lately a lot of your performances, you go up to on stage and you actually kill a person, kill a man.
So I thought that was really fun. So like, why not do it?
And there's so many different ways you can take it too. So I think that's really, really clever.
Yeah. So and I think like with like my whole like theater experience and like using props and like set and just knowing how stage presence work, like it really helped me like develop like my conceptual numbers. Yeah.
If you can't tell already, I'm going grayscale.
Yes, I can tell. Are you doing like a noir? How do you pronounce that?
Yeah. I'm doing a noir black and white Femme Fatale.
Okay. I am doing a look based on this Netflix series called Castlevania. So basically, there's this character.
Cool.
Her name is Camilla. She's like a vampire, and she's just badass. Like she had like this monologue, and when I saw it, I was like, this bitch is me. Like this is literally like what Femme Fatale is all about. So and I'm glad like my material and everything that I bought online like came just in time for like today's shoot.
My look is also a little bit inspired by Lady Death. Do you know Lady Death in the comics?
Is it X-Men?
No. She's Image Comics, I think. But she's everything is black and white except for her lips, which are red. So I'm doing a bit of that too. Yeah. You won Drag Wars. That was quite impressive. I mean, looking at the videos online, was it a final lip sync gown that you were doing it in? That's so beautiful.
It was. I felt like being pretty could give me a higher chance of like winning. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna look my best on stage that night. The gown is like really cheap. It was secondhand, $150 from Peace Center. So if y'all wanna like go find cheap gowns, go to Peace Center, okay?
Wow. Okay. Wow. Peace Center. Yeah. So you are the current reigning, right? Because they haven't managed to have another Drag War since then.
Yeah, because of the pandemic.
Yeah. So you're the longest reigning queen.
Oh god! Like just take my title. I am tired. I'm done. Well, what do you feel about like the young drag scene in Singapore?
No, I think it's actually very exciting because there's so many of you coming up, like you, and I just had Opera Tang on my channel too, and she's super impressive. She really goes all out, and I feel like there's a lot of pent up creativity in Singapore, and I think drag is a perfect way to channel all this because, especially during the pandemic, drag is something for us theatre kids. It really gets into all our everything that we like, right? Performance, makeup, costuming, stuff like that, drama. To be able to express yourself in all these really different ways is very inspiring, and that's why I like to see all of you, get to know all of you guys.
Like especially like it being online, it's so much easier for like queens to basically like gain presence in the scene because it's so much more accessible. Oh, how many times have you like performed like live?
I mean, out of drag, I've done quite a lot. So out of drag, I used to do a lot of theatre as well. So in secondary school, throughout JC, I didn't do it when I was in college, but when I came back and I was like in residency, I was actually in the young company with SRT. So I did that for 2 years, and I was in plays and everything. I was rehearsing for musicals and everything like on the side. It was like really. A lot of amateur stuff, but it was quite tiring. And then when I was in New York City, I lived in New York for 5 years. I did quite a lot of theatre there too, and a lot of cabaret. So that's actually what I really want to do now. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, so you did cabaret in New York like as a drag queen or like as a boy?
No. I didn't dare to do drag in New York City. I did it as me. Yeah. So we did a lot of cabaret. Manhattan style cabaret is basically just standing up, telling stories, and then interspersing it with songs. So that's the kind of style. That's the kind of style that I really like. Okay. Yeah. You were involved in a cabaret as well, right? You did a queer cabaret. Was it last year?
Oh yeah. It's called Queer the Year.
Queer the Year. Yeah, what was that about? Did they have one this year?
Well, they recently just had a cabaret, but it's not the same organization. It's not Queer the Year. But basically for Queer the Year, it was like a queer cabaret where we had like various performers, not just drag queens. No, there wasn't exactly stand-up or like poetry. Everyone was doing something related to music. It was very interesting. Yeah, my 2 numbers that I did. One was Chicago at the start, like
cool. Cell Block Tango. Was it Cell Block Tango?
Yeah, Cell Block Tango. Yeah. So I did like a short bit of it at the start, me talking about killing a man, and I shot like a shotgun into the air, and I transitioned it to I Hate Boys by Christina Aguilera. It's so on brand.
Wow. Yeah.
Then like for the second number I did like a Halloween themed number. There's this video online. There's this like Christian lady just like going off about like how the Monster Energy drink is like satanic. And I basically took that entire audio, like I memorized all the lines, I listened to it so many times just to get the lines down, and then I transitioned it to some Halloween pop song, which was really fun. And I ended up killing like someone on stage by like slitting their throat. That was my first time playing with like stage blood.
And you've also done a couple of riots, right? I saw you in one riot before.
Oh,
you killed
which
a guy
one?
on stage too. It was the one where you had a guy in a chair.
Oh, the Barbie number, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've done a few riots. Really thankful for like that experience. Like, I feel like the experience there compared to like performing in the club, it's so much more different. Because like, well, at riot you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can do like, I'm having a brain fart. Like slow songs, ballads. Yeah, you can do ballads. You can do like crazy numbers. You can do like really weird ones. And yeah, I just love like how riot is like built. Yeah, I think I saw you perform once at riot. You've done it, right?
Yeah, I've done it twice. I've done riot twice or 3 times. One of those, I can't remember. But I really like riot. I think Becca is doing an amazing job with all that. But what I really want to do is something like a New York style cabaret.
So what does that entail?
So like, maybe a very intimate live performances, live singing, and with live music as well. So maybe a piano, maybe even a bass and drums or something like that, and then just someone coming up and just telling stories. Yeah. So that's cool. That's the kind of stuff that I really like. I'm not sure whether Singapore is ready for that though.
Yeah, like trying to diverse like the drag scene here is a little bit hard, especially when like people aren't very accustomed to like other forms of media. Like all they want to see is like what splits, dips, and just very drag in general. But to want to have like a more queer drag scene, I feel like it might take a while for that to happen.
You did mention in one of your interviews this distinction between the gay scene and the queer scene. I thought that was very interesting that you spoke about that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit about that?
Okay, so basically like for the gay scene, I feel like it can be a little bit more toxic than the queer scene in general.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more toxicity in terms of like body shaming, being against femme guys. I think that's just internalized misogyny. But whereas in the queer scene, it's a little bit more accepting, you know, it's so diverse. Everyone is just everything and it's so wholesome. Like, have you been to Dink?
What's that?
So Dink is basically like this queer space where they hold like performance nights, and most of them are mostly like stand-up poetry and all that.
Okay. I've never been there.
But entering that space itself, I felt so much love. Like even though I was just an audience member, like people were just so accepting and loving of like every single thing that they see. Like I was literally like wearing a cap that night, and then someone came up to me. I really love like your hair. Like just because like my hair is like really styled like down all the way, so that it's like really sleek with like my cap, and then they compliment that. I was like, thank you.
Wow. Yeah. You probably won't get that in a gay club unless your shirt is off and you've got like fat free self abs and everything. Then someone will come and compliment you, right?
Exactly. Your annoy me.
I mean, I must admit that, you know, when I was growing up, I mean, I'm a lot older now, but when I was growing up, a lot of that, I subscribed to a lot of that kind of beliefs and everything, and I really think that finding drag and everything really helped me break out of that cycle of thinking. Yeah. I mean, when you're someone completely different, you can't help but develop a little bit of empathy. Literally walking a mile in someone else's shoes.
Yeah. Like why be mean to someone just because they look different, you know? You don't have to sleep with them, but you don't have to be mean with them, you know? Like chill, just be nice. Everyone's just trying their best to stay alive in this world, damn it.
So you also identify as a scientist, don't you? I saw that something somewhere that you're a scientist, an environmental scientist.
Well, I'm not a scientist yet, but basically I am studying environmental studies right now in NUS.
You definitely sound very, very passionate about science and about the environment and stuff like that. Do you think that you will at some point merge the two? Like maybe, I don't know, do some sort of something about that in your drag?
Right. I have thought about like doing science videos and like educational videos about like marine stuff and just science in general in drag. So I have thought of that. Maybe not my thing as of now to create such content because I don't feel fulfilled when I do like online creation. I'm more of a stage performer. That's where I really like feel like, oh yes, this is what I love doing, you know? So creating content has not been like my forte, but I definitely want to do that in the future, especially when I am working and have more money and can afford like more equipment and like costumes, you know. Right now I am a fucking broke bitch. Like being a student, a full-time student, it's no joke when you want to do drag because like everything is so expensive. I told myself like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy any more dresses. But then like when you asked me to do the shoot, I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it.
Oh no,
okay.
I'm so sorry. You didn't have to.
No, but I wanted to like, I really miss dressing up. I really love doing drag, but it's just, as of now, being a student with like no steady income, like it's just harder. So I hope like the drag scene in the future like becomes a little bit more wholesome in a sense where queens help one another, like, you know, grow and maybe share costumes and makeup or like tips and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. I think that's actually one thing that I really wanted to do this channel as well. As you know, I do skin for a living, so I do try to bring dermatology into my drag sometimes and try to teach about stuff like that. I try to talk about LGBT issues, although I'm not probably the best person, but I want to take it from a place of someone who's also learning. And I really feel like I want to give as many queens in Singapore a platform to talk as well. So that's why I'm trying to do this whole series.
Yeah. Because there isn't enough like space in Singapore for queens to perform on stage. Even with those spaces, like it's usually just like the same queens performing. Like there isn't exactly like an opportunity for like a young rising queen to show their potential or actually like learn. I wish like there was more space and platform in Singapore for like the younger queens to like showcase and learn, you know, because if you don't like perform on stage, or like if you don't exactly have that real life experience, you don't get to learn from it, and then you won't improve and grow. Yeah, so I've had this conversation with like Arya Dunn and like Winter Diva. Like they're my two like closest like drag friends as of now.
Cool.
And they made a good point saying like, you know, if people like Becca or like Taboo were to like hire like young queens who might not perform very well, who will come to watch the show? Who will pay to get tickets, you know? And in Singapore, like to have a space means you need to pay to have the venue, you know? So it's very important to also think about like who can deliver a performance, who can draw in a crowd. It's very hard to like balance like wanting young queens to see them perform, but also to maintain like a sense of like standard in the drag scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also now during the pandemic, it's really hard for Taboo and everything. They're struggling to even make ends meet. So it's a difficult time for all queens now. Yeah. Have you been doing any Zoom performances during the lockdown?
For last year's, I think Pride, I did like a short video for like Dink. I generally do not like performing on Zoom also. The energy is so off and different because you're just performing to like a camera. You know, there isn't like an audience feeding you like that energy back. So it's just very draining. But I really appreciate like the queens that have been putting up like constant content. I mean, be it good or bad, I still think it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's a hustle, right?
Yeah.
What is queer college life like in Singapore? You mentioned you were in NUS, right? In the National University of Singapore.
What is it like being queer in NUS?
Yeah, what is it like? Because I know there's this queer NUS thing that has a Instagram page. What are you part of that?
I did join for like their freshman orientation program. Like there was something, but after that I don't know, maybe I didn't like exactly like follow them or something, but I didn't see like any other events from them. But I think it's also because of the pandemic, they just couldn't like host like events and workshops. And technically queer NUS isn't part of NUS. So like it's all like self-funded. Like it's not exactly like a CCA that you can find on like the school's website.
So it's not condoned by NUS itself.
Exactly. That's what I heard lah.
Oh, that's terrible.
It is. Like, you know, if they had actual school funding, I think things could be so much better for like everyone. Like other than like that organization, like I mean just my presence itself, like I think I'm visibly queer on campus, like sometimes the way I dress compared to like everyone in science. As if you go to science faculty, like honestly like nobody dresses up because most of us are like wearing lab coats. I'm the only one there like in a very bright colored like ensemble and like I think I'm like one of the very few people on campus who have like tattoos. So like everyone just like stares at me like all the time, and I'm like, yes, I am a student. Stop thinking otherwise, you know? It's so annoying.
Yeah, I get used to it. I must admit, when I was stalking your Instagram, I saw, wow, he dresses so well at school. I actually thought you were from LaSalle. Before I dug a little bit deeper. I thought he must be some LaSalle design student or something.
Nah, I'm a science geek.
Yeah. Same here. What do you think of the latest environmental report?
Lord.
You discussed it in school. It's so scary.
It is. It's so frightening, and we haven't exactly like discussed it in school per se, but I've talked to like my friends about it, and as much as it seems like it's hopeless and like you know, it's inevitable doom, I've seen this other side of like this whole discourse where they're trying to tell us, you know, we cannot lose hope, because the moment we lose hope, you know, the capitalists who are like running the world to the ground, like they will win because there won't be any more resistance. So as much as the report is daunting and like, you know, we're almost to the point of like no return, like we're so like we cannot give up. Like we still need to continue fighting, we still need to continue, you know, resisting like this whole capitalist agenda. And there's so much to do. There's really so much to do, and we need to like revolutionize and like band together to like really like fight this whole systemic like issue.
It needs to be policy change. It needs to be like
Correct.
actual because you know the individual person can't actually see all these things, and it's so hard for them to actually relate to what's actually going on. The big picture is just so hard to grasp. It's like saying how many hundreds of thousands of people have died from the pandemic. You don't really see that, right?
Yeah. And I don't think
Yeah.
as human beings we are able to cope with like that knowledge and number. We're just not
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
not built to be able to see things so big, so it's really hard
Exactly.
to get people to understand all this. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, and
let's
like-
talk more about drag.
Yes, sorry.
I do feel very strong about environmental issues as well. Being a drag queen is probably not the best option to doing that because it's so
Yes, it
It's
is
so
one of the
wasteful,
most
yeah.
unsustainable hobby in the world, okay? Like I feel so much guilt when I do drag, especially like for today's shoot. Like, you know, before I bought the dress, I was like, you know, do I really need this? Can I reuse it? Am I able to pull off other looks with it? And you know, it's such a dilemma, like wanting to do what you love, but also wanting to save the environment. It's not that I'm trying to be cheap. I mean, yes, technically I am because, you know, I'm broke. But at the same time, like I'm trying my best to not consume so much. I do not want to purchase so much. If it's a one-time use, then there's just so much guilt on me because I'm like causing like my items to be transported in a plane, which, you know, gives off carbon dioxide and all that. Me as a person, as a normal consumer, my impact on the world is not as big as the companies that are setting the oceans on fire, the ones that are cutting down the forest and all that. So when I think about that, I feel less guilty. And I feel like, okay, yeah, maybe doing drag isn't so bad.
a lot of these things we are really able to justify to ourselves. I know this is probably a little bit heavy and probably not the best people to preach about environmentalism, drag queens, but I think we really have to do what we can, yeah.
Environmentalism isn't exactly like accessible for like everyone because not everyone can afford to be
Oh,
sustainable.
Yeah, and it's really the privilege, the more privileged people who can afford to, you know, afford newer technologies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or even think about
Oh, but
Yeah.
speaking of like drag and environmentalism, like do you see like the photo shoot I did of like Mother Nature?
Was it on your Instagram?
Yeah, it's like the one where I'm like fully green.
Oh, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
The Earth Day one, right? Yeah.
Yes,
The green with all the leaves. Oh, I did a similar look to this last year when I was doing my color series.
I'll go check it out.
All these, our minds probably think a lot alike. In the House of Miss Joachim video, you were quite hedgy about some drama thing that was going on. I have no idea what was that about. Is it something that we can talk about?
Yeah. Basically, like I think like almost 2 years ago. Basically, it was during like the whole BLM period, right? And you know, everyone was advocating for like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, equal rights. I get it. But like, if you are gonna like advocate for something like that, you should check yourself first if you are doing anything that's anti-black, you know? Like you don't get to say gay rights and still be homophobic or do homophobic things. A lot of queens were like, you know, just doing like sort of like mindless activism in a sense where they just like repost like a black
square.
Yeah, you know, that doesn't do shit, people. Come on. So I got very frustrated, and I know that there's this history of like queens appropriating like black culture also. So it wasn't the best approach, I admit, but I called out like queens on social media basically like, hey, you want to advocate for Black Lives Matter and you want to do blackface or you want to appropriate black culture, then go do something about it lah, you know, like change your costume, Mimi, change it around. So it was very aggressive, but I felt like that aggression was also needed because if it was like a personal DM, or if it was like something that's soft and gentle and palatable, there wouldn't be a conversation in the scene, where people are actually appropriating black culture, I mean, I expected like a backlash and all that, but eventually like people understood what I was trying to get at, and I understood that, I wasn't doing it the best way. But at the same time, I was bored. Like we were in a pandemic. Like I needed some drama in my life. But yeah, so that's what basically happened. Yeah,
Yeah, and you're a drag queen, so you have to be a bit opinionated, right?
Yeah, like if you're not opinionated, are you really doing drag?
I do feel it that way sometimes too. I mean, sometimes even behind closed doors and everything, a lot of people, a lot of my friends sometimes are also very casually racist, a bit casually misogynistic and everything. And and that's something that really hasn't been sitting right with me at all. For a very long time, and sometimes I do get in trouble also when I do call them out and I'm just joking and everything like that. But I think in this day and age, we need to be able to talk about these things a bit more
definitely.
Openly. Yeah.
I mean, if I am your friend, I will call you out because I care for you and I want you to grow, Like, if you weren't my friend, I wouldn't say anything. So, like, what's your social circle like? Like, what kind of, what's the racial dynamics of your social circle? Since you said, like, they were casually, like, racist.
Oh, yeah, obviously mostly Chinese.
Right, okay.
Yeah. When I was in America, I did have a much more diverse friend group because my lab was quite diverse also. Yeah, and in Singapore, I think there is there is a little bit of self-sorting that goes on. How about you? Would you say that most of your friends are Chinese or
yes,
more
mostly.
mixed?
No, I really have little to none like Malay friends. I think I have actually more Indian friends than Malay. Yeah, because like when I grew up, I was of more privileged compared to like most Malay people. So I was in like the top classes of like the school, and as the classes went down like by grades, you could see like the racial like disparity. Like you can see like there are way more Malays like in the lower classes, and at first I was like, oh, I succumbed to like that whole racist stereotype where Malays are just lazy and dumb. And for a while, I actually did have like internalized like racism. I didn't like my own race. I was ashamed to be Malay. As I went to poly in RP, that's when I was more exposed to like, my own race. And I realized, they aren't so bad. Like they're just like me. It's just, and I realized like the reason why there are more Malay people in like what normal academic, normal technical, or like the lower classes in primary school. It's not because they are lazy or dumb, but it's a vicious cycle of like poverty where, brown people in Singapore, they just cannot afford like tuition or like
tuition and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they it's a cycle and it's not their fault,
When you're talking about all this stuff about structural racism, structural inequalities and everything, I think Singapore is just about trying to grapple with that. Singapore does seem to have convinced itself that it's purely meritocratic. And they're trying to say that it's completely colorblind and everything, but I think if you look deeper, we just need to find a way to talk about these things a bit more openly. Not just a couple of people putting on makeup and just rambling on about it.
Like I still feel like the conversation still needs to be pushed a little bit more, because right now, like, we have like ministers and all that saying like, we're just heightening the experience. They're basically like invalidating like what we experience on like a daily basis, and I think that's like really fucked up.
So would you say the drag scene in Singapore is very welcoming?
I feel like, well, of course, behind closed doors, people will judge, people will discuss about young queens and like the way they look and all that, but I feel like when you meet queens in real life, it's more welcoming than you think, no matter how catty or like cutthroat like people can be. I still feel like being in like the drag scene, like it's it's a very warm place. Like they are generally like, you know, friendly, nice, um, until they get really drunk. Yeah. Do you drink often at like, you know, tantric and taboo?
Not really. I don't drink. I'm actually one of these teetotal queens like kimchi.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't really drink, so that's why I'm not really much of a club queen.
Right. Yeah.
So where do you see your drag going? I mean, right now you have this whole branded thing about the femme fatale and everything. I think I touched on this before on whether you wanted to do this, marry this with your other passions.
Right.
Do you want to do what, more pageants, more shows? What do you want to do with your drag?
Like
If you were given carte blanche and you know anything you want to do with drag, what would you do?
right. I like Femme Fatale. I like the character that I've made, but I do want to explore like other types of drag where I don't look like a woman. You know, I don't. I want to look like a drag queen that is not Femme Fatale. You know, I want to be able to do numbers that are not exactly like Femme Fatale like centric. So hopefully in the future, once I decide like a really good name, I want to have like a general like drag persona for myself rather than like a specific character. But yeah, like I also hope like in the future, like in Singapore, people would hire, you know, drag queens to maybe like tell stories to kids, because you know,
Yeah.
drag queens, they're very like eye catching in terms of like costuming and makeup, especially like the height and everything. So like I would love to be in drag and like go to school preaching about like environmentalism and all that. Like I think that would be like so fun.
I also want to do. I would really hope that we can do a lot more things like science communication and drag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really think actually Singaporeans are quite open to this form of entertainment. Judging by Riot, judging by the response I get in the lift sometimes when I'm walking, when I'm going to a gig or something. You know, I hardly ever feel that people are not accepting. What do you think about Singapore?
I have to disagree.
Oh, okay. Let me tell me.
Like as much as the people that we surround ourselves with are accepting, I still feel like there is a very strong bunch who are very, you know, religious, either Christian or like Muslim, and I have seen the way like they are towards like queer people in general. So I still feel like there is still so much more to be done, you know, to have like a accepting society.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, I think definitely that there is a very vocal, very conservative minority that will complain. But I think generally the people in the streets are quite pretty much okay. Do you think? I mean, I know you had this experience. You mentioned it in the podcast that you had a very nasty experience in the army where people were calling you names behind your back and stuff like that.
Right.
But
right.
do you ever find that? Yeah, do you ever find that in drag? Do you ever find that people actually do that in drag in Singapore, or the people don't dare?
Nah, most of the time, like I've never faced like physical like verbal abuse or like assault from like the general public when I'm out in drag. But I know like of instances where other queens, you know, are just walking down the street in drag and people are just throwing out like the F slur at them. Yeah. But of course, hands are thrown lah. If that was happened to me, heels are gonna go off. I'm gonna start punching.
Oh no.
Have you ever been in a fist fight or like any
Oh
form
no, of course
like,
not. I'm so.
oh, you're a good boy? Boring.
You have?
There was this one guy in army. He started like making racist like comments about like how, I don't know, for some reason like he said only Malay people would squat on the toilet to take a shit. And
Oh no.
I don't know, for whatever reason he said that, and I was just so annoyed. I was so done with him. And the worst part was like he was ugly, so like that aggravated me even more, for like an ugly person to have such a shit opinion. So I just took the chair from the bunk and I just threw at him. And then like my other Malay friend like went
Oh
out
no.
to,
What
like,
happened?
beat the shit out of him. And then but all of our bunk mates like just pulled them apart, and then yeah, like we just told him off lah. You say that shit again, like we're just gonna throw hands at you lor.
Oh no, I hope you didn't. Do you get in trouble?
No, he's pussy.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever been in a fight.
Very good, very good.
I'm gonna keep it that way. You also have some makeup content on your TikTok or your Instagram, right? You were like reviewing some stuff like randomly.
And it only
I thought that was quite
happens.
cute.
It only happens like once in a while when I have like the energy for it. But like on my TikTok, I've only made like, I don't know, I've only done like 2 or 3 like transformation videos. Yeah. Making a TikTok is harder than it looks. I realized.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
like to get the angle and all that. I was like, wow, how do these like young people like do it so fast and like so effortlessly?
Hey, you're a young person. It's designed to keep us aunties out of it.
Yes.
You have this video of you cooking on TikTok that got like what 10,000 views.
Really? It's 10,000 now?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
shit.
know, on TikTok. It's got like 10,000 views of you cooking something. I thought, wow, he's branching out. I thought maybe you'd do a cooking show soon. Are you a good cook?
I would consider myself decent. So my specialty is mostly just pasta because pasta is so versatile. Yeah, but lately I've been trying to perfect like my tom yum cream pasta. It's amazing.
Tom yum cream pasta.
Yes. Like I love like spices and all that. So I was like, I love cream, like cream based pasta. So I was like, okay, why not infuse like cream and tom yum? And it was spectacular. Like I didn't have to. Honestly, like the cooking for it is so easy because the paste is already like ready. So you just have to add like a little bit of ingredients. You don't have to like make the paste from like scratch. So I'm not that kind of chef. I'm the one that kind of like play cheat. Do you cook?
Yeah, I cook a lot. In fact, over the last few weeks, I've been cooking every weekend for my friends. I love cooking too.
You look like the kind who preps like his own meal for like the gym.
There was a period of time when I just ate. I would prep like the whole week of chicken breasts. But I don't do that anymore.
That's very torturous, honestly.
Yeah, I think what Farrah Shamrock called the three of us, right? We're supposed to be the house of protein powder or something.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Me, you, and Farrah. So you're mentioning you are also in your drama club in the NUS, right? So what kind of stuff do you do there now?
As of now, I'm like the marketing head. So I'm just doing like publicity materials. I'm producing content to make the page more welcoming for like new members especially. But in the future, I will be like creating like the posters for like our shows. But other than that, I'm also a member, so I will be acting for productions. But as of now, we'll be going through like training up till like December. So only in December then do we enter like rehearsals for the actual production. Yeah.
Are you doing actual in live performances, or is it going to be like Zoom theater performances?
Hopefully by the time we reach like December period, there won't be like any crazy variants that set us back like So I really hope like it will still be in person. Yeah, for like my previous show, I actually did drag for the theater production that I was in. Yeah, and that was in person, so that was actually quite fun to like be on stage with like all the lights and to be like full drag. Like I think that was like it was a very full circle moment for me. Yeah.
Cool. What part do you play?
So I played this drag queen. Her name is Elvira Mental. So it's a play on like the
environmental.
Yeah.
That's your new drag persona already. You didn't have to think that far.
I mean, I don't wanna take a name that has been like given by my director. Like I feel like that's a little bit copyrighted in a sense.
Oh, why not? Why not? It works. If it works for your cause, I think it's quite clever.
That's true.
Like a lot of queens, like a lot of queens take something that they had. Like even Killer Queen. We mentioned Killer Queen before. Apparently, she took that name from the Rock of Ages musical she was in. So she just kept it. Yeah, from Drag Race España.
I see. No, but the thing is, if I do take up that name, then like the types of like performances and content that I produce, it only makes sense if I stick to like environmental stuff. And I
it seems like you might have even more than two drag personas.
I am multifaceted. Yes, I am. I just have a lot of interest like in like everything. So like I don't want to stick to just one thing. Like that was the reason it took me a while to like have the name Femme Fatale, like because I didn't want to put myself in a box. But look at where I am right now.
Yeah, we're in the box.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did think of this drag name, Aiden Titty Crisis.
Aiden. Is that a drag king or a drag queen?
I think
If it Aiden, that could be a drag king persona.
Right,
Aiden Titty Crisis.
but I think Aiden is a little bit more feminine, and plus it's like I, which is like the same name, it's the same letters like my name. So
Is your name?
yeah,
cool,
I might
cool.
want to go with that name, like Aiden, or Aiden Crisis, or like Aiden Titty Crisis. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, you could have a drag king persona too. I have a drag king persona. Do you know my drag king persona?
no.
Snatch Wonder. Snatch Wonder is my drag king persona.
What? Wait, do you have a separate account for that? Because I've never seen you do
Yeah, I have a separate account for Snatch Wonder, and I did a couple of drag king makeup tutorials once. So I do have a drag king makeup tutorial, drag king persona.
Oh my god, okay, I'm going to check that out. I literally did not know about that until today. I'm shook.
Yeah. No, I haven't brought Snatch Wonder out to play for a long time, but I think it's time Snatch Wonder did something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was experimenting with drag king makeup technique, so I did a video on that at one point. It's one of my more popular videos, surprisingly.
Okay, I'll go check it out, yeah.
Like contouring abs and all that shit.
Ooh, sexy. Oh, are you attached?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, I've been in a relationship for 23 years.
Oh wow. Okay, word.
How about you? Wait, are you seeing someone?
I won't say dating. I'm just talking to like a few guys here and there. Yeah, nothing.
Oh yeah, your grinder escapades, which you mentioned.
Oh
before.
yeah. But sleeping around with men is so tiring. Like, I think the whole reason why Femme Fatale came about also is because of like the trauma that I've endured through like grinder. You know, like being like rejected and like being surrounded by men who just generally just don't give a shit. You know.
Do you find it difficult when they find out you're a drag queen?
Honestly, no, I've not met anyone that I was interested in who has a thing against my drag. Like, I think it's because I choose my people like wisely. I choose people who will accept like the whole of me, not just my whole. So yeah, like I've not had any issues with like dating people who are like against me doing drag. Yeah, because if they are, like, I wouldn't be dating them, Like, love yourself, people. Oh, I'm still doing eyes. Ah! Oh, so like with your past performances, which one is like your favorite? Like, what do you like to do on stage?
I really like to sing, but not everyone likes it when I sing. So, I don't know. I have a lot of very bitchy remarks, but I don't care. I love it. I mean, I really like it, and I think it's probably not for everybody, but I think the enthusiasm that I do have on stage hopefully translates. I'm not like the super best singer or anything, but I guess I try.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like singing. I really love musical theatre. I'm a huge musical theatre queen. I love comedy songs. I like stuff like that.
What's your favorite musical?
Oh no! Don't ask me that. It's like it's the worst question to ask a real musical fan. But it changes all the time. It really depends on my mood.
Yeah.
Right now, I just started listening to The Little Mermaid again. The Little Mermaid, not the original one, but the Broadway version, because they've got all these I think they've got 7 new songs or something, and it's one of my favorite Broadway things ever.
Okay. What I'm gonna say might be a sin, but I only recently got into Hairspray.
Oh wow, that's one of my favorite musicals. It's so good, right?
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's my new comfort
It's so
film.
good. No, and Nina West, she's gonna be Edna Turnblad on the touring for Hairspray. Yeah, Nina West from Drag Race.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Mark Shaman is one of my favorite composers ever. So yeah, I've definitely gone through phases where that was my favorite musical. So I can't really answer that question. Yeah.
What musicals have you watched in Singapore?
Oh, in Singapore, I think I probably watch
All.
any musical
Right,
that
right.
came through. So probably I think I would say all of them.
I love Chicago. Chicago is so good.
Ooh, yep. Chicago. Also, I probably had a phase of nothing but Chicago.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
just listen to it on a loop. Yeah. Do you listen to a lot of musical theatre like regularly?
Not exactly. Like I have a very specific taste. Like if I generally don't like. Okay, I don't like Les Mis because to me like it's way too long and like I don't really like the storyline. I heard I haven't watched Cats, but I heard Cats was not to everyone's liking.
So during the 80s, there were all these really big production musicals. They really tried to get into all these really super emo, super dramatic stuff for the stage, like Andrew Lloyd Webber and Les Mis and Miss Saigon, stuff like that. Yeah, those not everyone's taste, but I think that was the kind of stuff that I had when I was growing up. So I really still like those, unfortunately. But I really like all the new stuff too. So yeah, I mean, my dream performance would be basically like what I mentioned, New York Cabaret, a piano bar, just talking, maybe just even bantering with the audience, singing a few silly songs here and there, stuff like that. Yeah. How about you? What's your most favorite thing to do on stage besides killing a man?
Like most of my numbers like are very conceptualized. Like, I like telling a story through like my drag numbers. I would love to explore like more conceptual numbers that don't revolve around like killing men, you know? Yeah, I've thought of one already and I think it's quite cute and like fun, but I just don't know if
Any spoilers?
it's a very dancey number, but the thing is I am a shit dancer. Like I cannot dance
me
for
too.
nights.
Especially in heels, right?
Yeah, it's so hard. Like I really commend like the queens like that can really like work it out like in heels. Like they're crazy talented. Who's your favorite queen in Singapore? Or who do you like look up to?
I think I really look up to Becca. I mean, Becca, and I've known her for a very, very long time. I mean, in fact, we were classmates.
Right, yeah.
Not classmates, but schoolmates. We were more or less the same year. I think she's 1 year older than me. But I really like her perspectives on drag and the way she really takes it so seriously. And I really commend her for it. And the way she's so outspoken about so many things, especially in Singapore. That's something that I haven't really. I must say that I'm not equipped to talk about so many social stuff. But I think every time I'm a bit confused about stuff, I always like ask her, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And she's always given me really good advice.
Right. Yeah.
So I must say, yeah, Becca is one of my favorite queens in Singapore. I really think she's doing a lot of great stuff for the local scene.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so how are we going? Are you almost done?
Yeah, I'm just finishing my lips and then I just gotta powder off everything.
Okay, so I think we're probably just about done. Shall we just go off and get into our final looks and come back for a wrap up?
Ken! Oh god, yes.
Okay, so we'll be right back with our finished looks. Okay, and we're back with our Femme Fatale looks. Femme Fatale, I hope you had fun today on our little chat.
I did.
And you look amazing. I can
you.
barely see because I've got these mesh lenses on, so I think I don't even know whether my tabs are glued on straight. Okay, so why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on the internet?
You can go to pornhub.com. Okay, no, find me on Instagram. OnlyFans, yes. No, you can find me on Instagram, FEMME.FATT, or if you want to follow my boy account where I'm a bit more active, Ilya Izzuddin. Yeah, that's where I am usually.
Yes, and I'll link them all down below. Alright, so fam, I really hope that we can perform together one day and maybe meet up in person, when this pandemic is over.
Yes, when the pandemic is over.
Alright, okay, thank you so much for coming on my channel again.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, take care.
Bye. Okay, and then move into montage. Lady Death does Nurse Ratched. Oh. Didn't paint my elbows. I was gonna paint my elbows, but you know, I didn't want to get white stuff all over this lovely new dress. Femme Fatale. Wonder Snatch. Rita Hayworth could never. Usually I have like, you know, positive feedback on my poses and everything from the camera, but I can't see a thing. Stupid skin-colored elbows. Alright, check out my other videos. I recently did another interview with Opera Tang and did a collab wig styling with Salome Black. Bye.